doctor sent you to me. I'm a dietitian, and I think we're going to be covering your celiac disease. What impressions or what experience or information have you gained so far about celiac disease?
Basically all I know is what I found on the internet.
Okay, what sort of things have you seen?
That I can't eat basically any breads or grains anymore.
Okay. For the most part, there will be some grains that you can eat, but the biggest issue is that you'll have to restrict all wheat, barley, and rye products. And unfortunately, they're in a lot of the foods that we do have on the market. So you'll have to get very good at reading labels, and I can give you a list of all the different ingredients and the pseudonyms that you'll see gluten-containing foods hidden under. That's going to be a pretty big issue. Do you foresee or have any concerns about how you'll go about removing gluten from your diet?
Can I eat cereal?
There are some gluten-free cereals available, and fortunately, the trends in the market causing more gluten-free products to be available will give you a lot of options. But again, it's going to be very important that you use that list of foods so that you can check every single label before you read it to make sure that there is no gluten in it.
So I eat a lot of rice. Is rice off limits?
Rice is okay. You'll have to look at other ingredients in the package. If you create boxed rice, sometimes the seasoning packets may contain things that contain gluten. So again, you'll need to check the label. Another thing that can be very, very helpful while you're experiencing your gluten-free diet or working your way through the gluten-free diet is keeping a food journal. Do you think you would be interested in keeping a food journal, or would that be something that you would find manageable?
Probably not.
Okay. It can be difficult, it can be frustrating to keep journals. There are lots of smartphone apps that allow you to keep track of the foods that you eat as you eat them.
Every meal that I eat?
Yep, every meal. It can be very helpful because if you do find that you're eating a food and you're still experiencing symptoms and your body is not healing, it'll be very helpful to have that information and have a record of your food. Especially that you can bring that food journal that you bring to me, and we can go over it together and try to identify the foods that's continuing to cause you symptoms.
Does exercise play a role?
No, exercise does not improve the symptoms of celiac. Of course, for a general healthful diet, it is recommended that you have some exercise, but that's up to you at this point. I do encourage it, but.
Can I take medications and still eat gluten products?
Some medications actually do contain gluten type or wheat-containing ingredients. So you'll want to check with your pharmacist and make sure that those medications that you do receive. From your chart that your doctor sent me, none of the medications that you're taking currently do have any of those ingredients in, but be mindful of that. If you pick up any over-the-counter drugs, make sure that you check with the pharmacist there. Also, multivitamins can have wheat in them as well. So again, you'll want to check everything for the wheat-containing ingredients.
Can I just take a pill and eat McDonald's like I usually do?
Unfortunately, because the celiac disease is immune-mediated, it means that your own immune system is attacking the cells in your intestine every time you get gluten in your system. So unfortunately, you will have to make those changes. Wheat-containing breads with traditional wheat flours will no longer be an option.
What if I don't?
You'll continue to experience the discomfort, the bloating, the diarrhea, all the things that come along with celiac disease.
Great.
There are a lot of foods, however, that you can enjoy. There are gluten-free breads. There are a lot on the market, and you can find them. I can actually provide you with quite a few gluten-free bread recipes that you might enjoy. I find that the best recipes don't have a whole lot of beans in the gluten-free flour. Like bean flours tend to have a very beany flavor. Do you prefer beans, or do you like beans at this point?
I don't like beans.
Then I don't recommend any of the gluten-free flours that contain beans. But again, I can get some of those recipes for gluten-free breads and gluten-free foods for you, and I'll make sure you have that list of ingredients that are hidden pseudonyms for wheat products for you as well. There will be another concern that you'll have to look at, and that is cross-contamination. If somebody, or if you go to a restaurant and they offer gluten-free bread, but they toast the gluten-free bread in a toaster with other breads that are wheat-containing, depending on how severe your celiac disease, you may have a reaction just from that very short contact with the bread when you consume it. So you'll want to be mindful, and you will need to notify your restaurant staff that you'll need foods that haven't been contaminated with gluten as well.
Is celiac disease lifelong disease, or do people come out of it?
There's no record of anyone coming out of it. It's just a disease that has to be managed by restricting the gluten in the diet.
Outstanding.
Outstanding.
Thanks.
Is there any other questions you had for me about how you might be able to?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then I guess I have a question for you. I know you haven't had the chance to get out there and read labels and get used to doing this, but I guess how often do you find you have the time to check labels and you have the time to look at those things and manage?
When I'm buying something, I could look at the label.
Yeah, exactly.
When I shop, I'll look at labels.
Okay. Also, I do recommend trying to plan ahead when you shop. Try to plan before you go in what sort of things you're looking for, because it can become overwhelming if you're spending a lot of time looking at each particular item for gluten. So that'll help. Definitely find products that work for you. And again, if you can keep the food journal, I definitely recommend it. There's lots of great apps to do that. MyFitnessPal is probably one of the most popular and has a very good database of all the different food products out there. So it's fairly simple. You open the app, click add food, and you can just list the things that you had. And for your situation, quantity is less important. It's more the details of the items that you had to make sure that we figure out what all those items are. So we'll follow up in 2 weeks and we'll see how your symptoms are coming along. You'll probably continue to experience some malabsorption and some diarrhea and some of your celiac disease symptoms for a little while, even after you've stopped eating gluten products, because it will take some time for your intestines to heal. Once they do, you should find yourself feeling much better and overall.
Great.
Did you have any more questions for me?
No.
Okay. Hi, welcome. My name's Mariel. I'm a dietitian. And how are you today?
Doing good.
Okay, good. Well, nice to meet you, Ed. So I understand you've been referred to me for celiac disease. What do you know, or what have you learned so far about the condition?
Not a whole lot, just what I read on the internet.
Okay. Well, celiac disease is an immune response when your body begins to process gluten in your system. And gluten is found in wheat, rye, and barley products. And the biggest part, and the treatment for this disease, is going to be to exclude any gluten-containing products from your diet entirely. So that'll include a lot of bread products, quite a few cereals, and you'll find that it is in a lot of other products like seasoning mixes and sauces and other mixes. But first I'm going to give you a list of some of the names that you'll find in products that, some of the names and things you'll find in on an ingredients list in those products. So you can see barley, bulgur, durum is a type of wheat, flour, and in America it will specify if it is made from wheat. But some of the other names for wheat are also semolina and spelt. So I would recommend when you go shopping or whenever you're looking at labels, definitely check and read the food label and the ingredients list to make sure it doesn't contain any of these things. I have a couple examples for you to show, and I just wanted you to see one of the examples. This is soy sauce. Go ahead and take a look at the label, and you'll find that one of the first ingredients, water, wheat. So this particular type of soy sauce wouldn't be appropriate for your gluten, for your celiac disease. They do make soy sauces without wheat, so that would still be an option. And this is just an example of something that is okay. I understand this is your favorite barbecue sauce, but this one does not contain any wheat products that are on that list. So this one would be an example of something that's okay. So as you're shopping, you'll need to think of that and be conscious of that. Are there any concerns that you have as far as shopping and finding products that have wheat gluten?
Not really, as long as I look at the labels, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
There will also be products where you don't have labels, like for example when you eat food served by other people and food in restaurants. That'll be something you'll need to ask the restaurant keepers about, but as you get more familiar as far as what products generally contain gluten, you'll be more familiar with what things you can have and whatnot. Also, another way to be more effective, go back to this one. So this is a list of, just to give you an example of some of the foods, food products, the safe choices, the questionable choices that you'll really want to double check those labels, and things that you just need to avoid entirely. So this should help you and guide you, especially as you're starting out, because again, once you get used to it, it'll start getting a little bit easier. And there is more resources here as far as finding things that have hidden wheat gluten in it, and some of the issues with cross-contamination. If you use a toaster where you use both wheat breads and gluten-free breads, the gluten-free breads can pick up I guess small amounts that may affect you. Also, some people are affected by oats, so and you won't know whether you're affected by oats until you're able to completely eliminate gluten from your diet. Another way to be more effective is to keep a food log, a food journal, and this can be a little bit more difficult for some people, but if you log it as you eat food, it will be easier over time. I just wanted to give you a quick example. This is an app that you can use on your phone, MyFitnessPal, where you can go and enter your food as you have it. So in the morning, what was the first thing you had when you woke up?
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Okay, so we had an egg, and we can specify whether that was a fried egg or how it was prepared. You can search for specific items. And it'll put in estimates as far as other things that you may have had. So, and bacon. And so you can add a little bit of bacon. And it's pretty simple to just pull up ingredients and put them in. For your particular, the reason you're keeping the food log more is to know exactly what foods you ate, so that you can go back and look at your list, and I can help you with that during your follow-up visits to see if there's some food that you might be eating that has some hidden gluten in it that is affecting you. So it's fairly simple. Is this something you think you'd be comfortable with being able to keep up with?
Sure.
Now, with the bacon, egg, and cheese, did you have that on a
White bread.
On white bread. And again, they do make gluten-free bread, so you'll have to find a suitable gluten-free bread. Okay, so we got all of the ingredients in there. You'll also want to
Whole sandwich.
a whole sandwich. So yeah, it's pretty easy. You have to put it in its in individual pieces, but it's not too difficult to get the entire thing in. You'll also want to keep track of beverages as well. Were there any beverages that you had with this breakfast?
Sweet tea.
Okay. And then we can put a quantity size. What size did you have?
Large.
Large. Okay. We'll go with this one just for now, for simplicity. And you can find the exact brand, but it's necessary. So are there any concerns you have with using or keeping a food log, or are there any obstacles you think you may run into?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, okay. Hold on, I think that's other things. Also, I know you asked me, wait, no. Cool. So these are your resources for starting the gluten-free diet. I think that it will be very helpful in wheat identification. And also, as you're logging your food, there is a notes section on that app, which I guess I should have showed you. You can write in notes, and I would recommend just putting if you are having any symptoms, any cramps or bloating or things of that nature, so that you can keep a log of when you do experience symptoms, so you can go back and kind of do a little forensics and find out where that is.
Okay.
So how are you feeling at this point about being able to take on each of these tests, as far as reading labels and removing the things? Do you feel, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most confident, how do you feel about being able to handle these tests?
Like 2.
Okay. Are there any questions you have as far as making this easier, or other ways? Like what are some of the obstacles you find or you foresee having as you go through this?
Just foods that I like to eat.
Okay.
Finding substitutes.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. I do highly recommend writing a list of those foods that you did enjoy in the past. You're welcome to bring them to me in our follow-up visits, and we might be able to look through and find a suitable alternative that you will like. I might be able to help you with some of those recommendations. There are also quite a few support websites that you can find here. Celiac.org, and there's a pretty growing following, so be careful with some of the websites you go to. Some may steer you in the wrong way. This is a good list to start from of reputable people who will help you with other ideas. This glutenfreerestaurants.org is a good way to find restaurants that offer gluten-free products. Do you have more concerns, or what are any other obstacles you might run into?